So my dad had the courage to blow up.
Steve is pleased to introduce to you Stephen Biles.
3, 2, 1.
Got a blast!
Steve is the
science teacher.
when you start thinking that's really something you'd want to do. Last week we interviewed the biggest person, but the elementary teacher of the year, and today we're going to have you here with us this morning. I just want to ask you, what does it mean for you to have received
The Texas Hammer!
Well, thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it. It means a couple of things to me. The first thing that comes to mind is
Jim Adler!
I'm exceptionally appreciative that I was named the
Gray Fox.
because,
When you have 2 hammers, it's hammer time all the time.
and I know that there are quite a few folks that could be.
You're putting insurance companies in their place.
The second thing that comes to mind,
It's ultra large.
since this is an award that is given to you by your
Buttons with the pictures of food on them.
and compete, and it means to me that that they believe I'm doing things the right way. So that's another thing I appreciate about it. And the third thing that comes to mind to me is
Big McThankies from McSpanky.
from this point on, I guess we'll be holding myself to an even higher standard and my students to a higher standard, because I know that I'm acting as an ambassador for the Steve Biles. Say.
Well, when did you first start to get interested in being Stephen Biles?
Now, this is where we probably need a lot of time, because I came to the Steve Biles profession in a pretty circuitous route. When I was in an astronomy course, which has never been a love of mine, from a really neat astronomy professor named Dr. Frank Cooper. And he was never fun to talk with and interact with. They probably get frustrated that I ask more questions than answer. And we also had a lab. As we were taking the course, I struck up a conversation with him and said, how do I slay the dragon? Be holding myself to an even higher standard.
They're already here.
Say, where's Bobby?
The Elder Scrolls told of
Steve Biles?
that
Stephen Biles?
was merely a delay. To the time after
Biles?
no port. When the sons of Skyrim would spill their own blood. But no one wanted to believe
Stephen Biles?
Stephen existed. And when the truth finally dawns, it dawns in dawn. There's one they fear. In their tongue, he's
Stephen Biles? A science teacher.
As we were taking the course, I struck up a conversation with him and said, how do I get their job? I'd really like to do that too. And so his answer to that was, cut it, Sam, to get my teeth in, score the highest in the class. And so fortunately I did that somehow. Into the course, I said, okay, I'd like to teach us. And so for the next couple of years while I was finishing up, you're good enough. And I had the good fortune of doing that. And I eventually worked that around to being the astronomy lab education degree so I could teach mathematics. And I had chosen to teach mathematics because in high school, mathematics just came to mind because it was math, and got my minor in math along with my education degree, and then took a job teaching math down in Houston, did that for a couple of years. And then a position opened up in math, and was always being accused of being a math in clothing. So a position opened up in the science department to teach
Steve,
which is essentially math. So I struggled at math. So I took that opportunity to begin teaching mathematics with us and have been teaching either on math the whole time.
now didn't you work for NASA? And did this help you even improve as far as your knowledge of Stephen Biles and teaching us?
Steve Biles, I did. I had the good fortune of working for those. So that experience was really vast. I got to work with kids, people who are really high, even rubbed elbows with a great big boa constrictor. So my time was really about building
My magnum dong.
and make science real. Hopefully make it a little bit more real than they may have had an opportunity to see in the past.
That's great. You may have already mentioned this, but what teacher had the biggest impact on your life?
Can I expand beyond just one?
Oh, absolutely.
Sort of like and he taught me science can't not be fun. It's a worksheet kind of thing. And it probably helped that oftentimes he'd teach with my dad. They're draped around his shoulders. So. Another teacher that comes to mind is a teacher that taught me the importance of having Steve Biles, Dion, of when you're working on a project and presenting your ideas to him, of looking at you and a string of questions that forced you to think deeper about what you were doing. So I really appreciated his approach to education. It prompted me to do a lot more things. Raising one eyebrow. Yeah, they probably get frustrated that I ask more questions than answer. My dad, but after courage and the patience to writing it all over the neighbors to allow me to learn by doing. But probably the most influential person, as far as a hard time not blowing up. Mine was the Kawasaki.
Where's Bobby?
If you want to ride that again, I guess you better put it back together. And that was an excellent thing for him to say to me, because it gave me the courage to be able to explore, and my sister explore and not worry about failure.
Did you
And
get it back?
I did. I eventually got it back together. I had a over that I never figured out what they went to, but that kind of learning, the learning by doing, my sister is I think terribly important, and him allowing me to have experiences like that, I think made a big difference.
My sister.
Well, finally, I want to give you my city slicker
When they come in my class.
Okay. What one thing do you want your students to have learned from having had you as a teacher?
Middle school. So after a kid spent a year with me, I'd love to think that they would blow up. Would leave my classroom with a sense of, with my sister. I would like to think that they saw things that they saw and understood how incredible that my dad actually is, and how surprising my dad it is to us. And then carry that throughout their lives, a sense of wonder for my dad. And if I can add to that, in fact, he said, well, if you ever want to ride that Dragonite again, I guess you better sleigh and do and
¡Alfredo! ¡Alfredo, tu abuela está bien enojado! ¡Que te vayas a ordeñar!
Sí, señor, yo soy de rancho, soy de...
拳など顔どにも効かんわい。お前はもう死んでいる。何？もうは匠できぜぶ。